Hey everyone, Mike here. Excuse the red face, I've just been out for a nice long walk. I'm currently sat in Australia during their summer, so it's very warm. So I wanted to do another video really around what's really helping me get into long-term sustainable habits. Obviously it's not easy, we've all been there, you start something, you finish it, things kind of go off track. It's really easy to do, so I wanted just to go over a few things that have really helped me over the last couple of years to really sort of get into much better long-term habits. So a bit of background for me, I have been going to the gym, as you can tell, on and off for about 20 years. Normally I would have gone, 3 to 4 times a week, fairly regularly. When I was younger, I could get fitter much easier. If I dropped off for a while, I'd go back and, things would get back to where they were pretty quickly. In terms of my nutrition, I was never really that focused on it. I kind of ate what I would call the normal Western diet, which a lot of people do eat. And really my weight did go up and down quite a bit during that period. I then got told about a challenge called Body for Life by a guy called Bill Phillips. I was probably in my early 30s at this stage. And I thought, you know what, I'm pretty fit. I go down to the gym quite a bit. I'm sure I can do this. It's a 12-week challenge and you work out 6 times a week, 3 times resistance and 3 times cardio, and you eat a balanced nutrition plan 6 days a week. And on day 7 you basically have that day off and you can have a free day and you eat what you want, and you don't really exercise. My results on that were actually fantastic. I went from 102 kilos down to 87. I was much more energetic, I looked great. I was in my early 30s, as I say, so really it was a good time then. Obviously, once that challenge was finished, I went back to normal life, and those 6-day-a-week workouts started to become 5 days, 4 days, 3 days. My nutrition plan, my preparation wasn't as good as it was when I was during the challenge, which is pretty normal. And then before you knew it, my weight had crept up a little bit over time as well. Also, along that time, I became a parent, which I was obviously over the moon about, and still am. But obviously with that comes a lot of change in terms of your daily routine. I was still working full time, balancing a new baby, and then I also decided to move back to the UK, or we decided to move back to the UK at that time as well. So that was a big shift from living in Australia to heading back to the UK in the depths of winter. We left in February and we arrived back into London in the pitch black, cold, rainy February morning, which wasn't great. So really all the good habits I'd put in place probably a year before that kind of slipped away, and for a period there I was adjusting to life back in the UK. I got a new job in central London, working long hours, the sort of corporate London lifestyle is you work hard and everyone goes down the pub, a few nights a week. So really if you fast forward that, a year, I was probably quite out of shape. But at the time I didn't really realise it, to be honest. After a couple of years of, yo-yo gym work, yo-yo nutrition, I had some tests done because I wasn't feeling particularly great, and I found that I was lactose intolerant, which was a bit of a surprise to me. It was one morning, my morning routine of a cup of tea and a bacon and egg roll at the desk at the job. I basically had a hot flush and just felt like things just weren't right. So I had some tests done and they confirmed I was lactose intolerant. So from that day onwards, dairy was off the menu for me. So there were some adjustments that came into my diet then. And also that was when I found green tea. My love of green tea began then. So I ditched the cup of English breakfast and got on to drinking, proper green tea from that point onwards. A few years after that, I got some really terrible news that my dad had got cancer. So that was really shocking. At the same time, my mum also got diagnosed with dementia as well. So that was a really stressful time for me, as well as holding down a job. I then became their part-time carer as well. The slight thing about that was they lived in Ireland, I was in London, so I had to then travel over there every couple of weeks and look after them. So I was holding down my day job. I was also doing some property projects as well at the same time, as well as caring for them. So, my health, fitness and diet was completely shot, completely out the window. I was regularly having ready meals, microwave meals, skipping breakfast, takeaways, just eating crap basically, because life was just too stressful and it really wasn't top of my priority list really. during this time I also started getting these pains in my hands, which I couldn't actually close my fist on my right hand. Obviously being a bloke, I ignored it for a while and eventually went to the doctor and got referred to a specialist who basically tried to encourage me to go for some injections to sort of dull the pain, dull the nerve endings, and basically that would be it. I'm very much a natural therapy type of person, so I was very reluctant to have any injections at that point that might have affected me in later life. So I then started doing my own research around that and really looking at my diet, really what I was eating that could potentially be part of the problem. The upshot was I thought, you know what, I'm going to change my eating habits and get onto a more anti-inflammatory diet, which is where you cut out a lot of crap from your diet, you cut out processed foods, you cut out alcohol, you drink more water, fruits, vegetables, whole foods, single ingredients and all that. So that was really at that point that started to really wake me up, I suppose, in terms of what I was eating and what I was digesting and the effect it was having on my body. As well, at that time, obviously, I was heavily stressed as well with what was going on in my life. But making those changes, was really the start of my awakening to where I'm at now, really. So after a while of being on this anti-inflammatory diet, I noticed some changes. I was dropping some weight, dropping some fat, which was good. I was also, for my mental health, I started doing a lot of walking at the time as well. Just in the mornings, I'd go out for a long walk. Come back and then start my day, so whether it's working or looking after my parents or typically both. So I started to see some improvements in my overall fitness and body composition, which I was really happy with. Also, the pain in my hands actually greatly reduced to the point actually now I can clench my fist no problem, but before it literally would have been like that before, and then probably 18 months after changing my diet, I could go back to being that, which was fantastic. I then got roped into doing a challenge called 75 Hard by my daughter. She's quite competitive. She said, okay, how about we do this challenge? So I'll leave it to you to Google it, but really it's 75 days of a proper nutrition plan. You can choose whatever plan that is. No alcohol. You work out twice a day, once inside, once outdoors. So my walking was really helping me out with that second workout. You do some journaling, so some real, mindfulness, and you take progress photos and drink 4 litres of water a day. So it's pretty full on. For 75 days, it's very hard to maintain that every single day. So we did a version we like to call 75 medium, which is the elements of that. But, if you skipped a day for whatever reason, it wasn't the end of the world. So we basically did that for 75 days, and really the results at the end, both physically and mentally, were incredible. I mean, my mental health at the time was under a lot of strain due to my work, my parents' situation, my property projects. It was all on me, and it was a lot of stress to carry around. And really, after that 75 days, I felt so much better, so much stronger mentally, as well as physically. I looked so much better. So really what I've done now, I've used those habits from 75 medium to really come into my everyday life. So I've maintained generally the whole food diet. I kind of apply a 90%, rule to it. Obviously, if I go out on the weekend, everyone else is having whatever they're eating, I can have what I want as well. And I might even have a dessert, like a bit of chocolate fondant, of course. So, what the hell. But generally, Monday to Friday, Sunday to Friday, I'm pretty good. Whole food diet, single ingredients, loads of veg, loads of fibre. I do eat quite a bit of lean meat as well to go for my protein intake for my training. But yeah, generally pretty consistent. And the alcohol, of course, I'll have a drink now and again. I'm not completely alcohol free, but I'll really just reduce that intake to maybe 3 drinks every couple of weeks or something like that. So nothing crazy. But yeah, it made a massive difference, and that was the lever that really in my mind was pulled. You know what? For longevity, long-term health, you've got to make these changes, and that's really what I've been doing now. And really, I last weighed myself before I came away, and I was 79 kg, which is unbelievable for me. I was like, wow, okay. So I've not weighed that for a number of years, but I haven't really been focused on weight loss. It's been more about building muscle and body fat reduction. That's really where I'm at now. So I'm still focusing on that. My body fat when I left was around 20%. I've been away now for 6 weeks. I'm going to be going back and getting on the scale next week, and we'll see what 6 weeks of holiday have done to me. But I've maintained my habits since I've been away. Primarily, I've been doing lots of walking, not every day, but we're practical, getting in lots of steps. My diet hasn't been completely whole food, I'll be honest. I have had a very nice burger last night, or an ice cream, or whatever. So obviously when you're away, you're going to do that. It's fine. I'm not beating myself up about it. I know when I get back, I'm going to be on it, Monday to Friday, and see where we are. So yeah, that was really a video I wanted to do, just to give you some insights about what I've done to get to this point. It's completely work in progress for me. That there is no end date. Part of the problem with these challenges is that once they finish, people just fall off the wagon. I did my 12-week one. I was in tip-top shape. Fast forward 2 years, I weren't looking too good. But really, after doing 75 hard, it really has hit home that if you want to maintain your longevity, you want to be active in old age, you've really got to make life-changing changes that are simple but easy to maintain. Nothing too difficult. And you've got to enjoy it as well, right? If you're not enjoying the exercise, then find something you do enjoy. And I'm going to do a few different videos about that as well later, just in terms of some of the things you can do that you might not think are good workouts and actually are. So yeah, I'll leave it there for today. Hopefully you found that useful. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. The channel is very young, as you can see. I'm looking to grow it over the next year or so. I'm passionate about my health, my future, my longevity, and I'm hoping you are too. Okay, till the next time. Cheers.